Hello, everybody. I'm Juan DeAngulo, managing partner at Elion Partners, and I'm here today for our third and final podcast with my colleague, James Lambert. James, maybe you can briefly introduce yourself, and then we can dive into the subject matter.
Sure. James Lambert. I am Senior Managing Director of Industrial Investments with Elion and Juan, and I've been there since April. Prior to that, I was with Amazon for 5 years.
So, James, we've had a good time. At least I have, because I'm the one asking more of the questions since you're the expert. But we've had a good time talking through some of the dynamics that what's going on out there in the industrial real estate market and some of the specific trends. But maybe today we can start out a little bit bigger picture. Can you talk a little bit about what are the opportunity sets out there in terms of industrial real estate, and what are the types of transactions that you're seeing both on the buy and sell side?
So from the buy and sell side, there's a lot of activity. We saw a very brief pause when COVID came in, and everybody sort of held their breath. There's money on the sidelines. Deals got put on hold. And right now, if we're not buying, which we always prefer to, something that's off market, it is a full big old dog and pony show with the full blowout and lots of makeup, and everybody has to show up to the beauty contest, and it's cutthroat. We're seeing more than 10, 12, 14 bidders sometimes on some of these this product. A lot of the institutions that we would all know, they're out there, they're chasing. We won a couple and we've lost a lot because there's some crazy numbers out there. People are chasing rainbows that I don't necessarily understand. I see where the trends are going. Definitely we're seeing cap rates go down. We're seeing rents go up, but I don't know how some of these groups are underwriting some of these deals.
But James, in terms of the stuff that you're looking at and some of the deals that we've been able to do, is it really true that you're still being able to maybe get pre-marketed deals or call them off market or direct deals with owners of real estate?
Completely. It's the only way to do it right now. It's all about relationships. We're leveraging our relationships. We have broker incentives to help us increase those relationships with the brokers so that they bring deals to us. I'm leveraging relationships that I've had for a long time, and we're getting looks at all of those deals. Our recent closing on the West Coast, 4 deals in one day, absolutely incredible. San Diego, San Francisco, and Seattle. That's all because of relationships. We have a great team of partners that are in each of those markets. They're bringing deals to us. They're knocking down barriers. They're finding those off-market deals for us, and that's how we're doing it.
So interesting, James, as you were talking about all of the capital activity, I remember back in April when we hit that pause button that you talked about, and the whole industry did as well. We were thinking that probably it'd be till Q3 or even Q4 before we started to see activity again. And then all of a sudden, I don't think it was even May yet when we started to hear about some larger Class A transactions being done. Lenders were back very quickly looking at deals. And even though it was not business as usual by any means, the capital was available, maybe in one of the only asset classes where it was available that quickly. So just from our perspective, in terms of being in the capital market space, it was fascinating to see that. So very exciting to continue to see that flow of capital, both on the equity and the debt side. But let me ask you a question. The question I get all the time.
I worry about that capital though, Juan, a little bit, because that capital that normally would be going into office and retail and potentially multifamily, it might want to direct itself into our sector. And we're definitely seeing some crazy valuation number or some crazy transaction numbers, I should say. And it seems to be from some of that inexperienced capital that's coming into this market that just wants to put it somewhere. They're not making big deals.
That's a good point. But do you think that that's capital that's chasing a stabilized deal, or do you think they're going to have the expertise and the ability to access a value add deal?
They absolutely do not have the expertise to access value add. There's so much that needs to be done there. So they're trying they're trying to get a core asset, but if they're chasing something value add, they don't know what they're doing, and so they're overpaying for it.
Understood. Understood. So maybe why don't we talk a little bit about, without talking about specific cities or anything like that, just generically speaking, could you talk about a deal that you did not get comfortable with and what
Oh,
you
no,
did in the
no,
past?
no, don't turn this on me. I think you need to talk about a deal that we didn't do. I think you're way more closer to one that I'm thinking about.
Well, okay. I mean that's fair. That's fair. I remember clearly being sitting in investment committee, looking at an opportunity that had a lot of good things going for it, and we really liked a lot of the dynamics. It was in the cold storage space, and
Oh, we're
obviously,
thinking the same one,
yeah,
man.
it's a deal that was very hard to say no to, but at the end of the day, when you're doing value add in industrial, you really need to make sure that you look at the building very closely, that you understand the physical uh, bones of the building per se, and the infrastructure of the building, the foundation, the roof, the electrical, the plumbing. And when we took a closer look during diligence, there were some real issues with the building, which is really not the norm. Industrial is not a complicated building. I mean, it's four walls, a roof, and there's certain things you need to make sure that are good. But especially with cold storage, where you have some real mechanical issues that could come up, we just really got concerned about the CapEx requirement. And then as we dove even deeper, we realized that there were some real tenant issues that potentially had issues in the future. And, instead of waiting till the last minute to potentially either retrade the deal or do something along those lines, we just picked up the phone and called the seller. I mean, you talked about relationships, and that's what it's all about. And we just had a candid conversation and shared our concerns. So at the end of the day, ended up not doing the deal and preserved the relationship, which was even more important than the deal. So thank you for turning the tables on me. So now I'll turn it back on you. So what are some of the dynamics that we look for when we do get comfortable with a deal?
We're looking for fundamental real estate. And it always comes down to good real estate, a good building in a good location. If you're sticking to those fundamentals, that's great. But what does it really mean to us? So we're looking for definitely supply constrained markets. That's really easy, right? I just described in the last video 3 markets that we closed deals on: San Diego, Seattle, San Francisco. Supply constrained markets, absolutely all of them. We're also looking at a discount to replacement costs. So in all of those, you're seeing scarcity of real estate close to those rooftops that we described in video 1. In those cases, of course, supply constrained also really easily translates into discount to replacement cost. So that's what we're looking for. We're very cautious with our debt. So 60% maximum debt to equity ratio. That's what we're looking for.
Well, that's great, and it's true. At the end of the day, all those pillars point to stable cash flow and replaceability of cash flow, and that's what gives you a healthy investment going forward in a stable property. So, you know what,
When
James?
they say it's location, it's all because of supply and demand. You can't replace it that easily. It's in the right place because there's great demand for it, and you can't replace it easily.
That's right. That's right. Well, James, it's been a real pleasure. I mean it, having these fireside chats with you. Hopefully, it has been not only enjoyable, but informative and valuable to those that have chosen to tune in and listen to the podcast. And hopefully, it's something that we can do again in the future.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Thanks.